Okay, the Troy Planning Commission meeting for October 25th is not now in session. It's in fact November 8th, 2017. Please call the roll.
Mr. Cappers.
Here.
Here. Mr. Wolke.
Here.
Mr. Titterington.
Here.
Mrs. Mahan.
Here.
Mr. McGarry.
Here.
Mr. Force.
Here.
We have a quorum.
We have our minutes from our October 25th meeting that have been disseminated to us. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions to those minutes? I will note that the name Helder Davy has been corrected in the minutes. Now Heather Davies.
Move for approval.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a
Second.
second? Any further discussion on that? Please call the roll. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All right. Next, we have on the agenda the preliminary plan for Fox Harbor subdivision. Does staff have a report?
Yes, I believe you need to remove it from the table first.
Oh, yes, you're absolutely correct. Next matter on the agenda. Oh, okay.
Make a motion to move from table?
Is there a second to that?
Second.
No discussion on that matter? Please call the roll.
Mr. Wolke.
Yes.
Mr. Titterington.
Yes.
Mrs. Mahan.
Yes.
Mr. McGarry.
Yes.
Mr. Force.
Yes.
Mr. Cappers.
Yes.
Removed from the table.
Okay. Now, does staff have a report?
Yes, we do. Thank you.
Go ahead.
The report for the preliminary plan for Fox Harbor subdivision is exactly the same that you received at the previous meeting. As you know, we went through the report and it was tabled because the item had not gone through, the park board had not taken action on it for the fees in lieu of. The park board has recommended and approved the fees in lieu of alternate to the open park space for that development. I won't go back through the report unless you want me to. I will point out kind of two changes that were made from the original preliminary plan back in 1990 to what is here today. Really only two small modifications. One is on the south end. I think it's Executive Drive. It used to be a stubbed street and now it is a cul-de-sac. So a minor change there. And then there's an area by the future detention area. There are lots 159 and lots 160. Those were slightly altered and are a little wider. The applicant, Frank Harlow, is here. One item that was discussed was the name of Liette Drive and the name of Darla Circle, flopping those. So it would actually be Darla Drive and Liette Circle. Those are the only changes we have.
Any questions of staff?
Tim may have asked this the last time, but this complies with the subdivision regulations
Certainly does, yes.
always.
The lots in which the detention pond is based, are those buildable lots?
No, they are not, and they will be maintained by the HOA.
Okay, because the current King's Chapel area does not have an HOA, so the new subdivision will have an HOA.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Any other questions of staff? Does the commission want to take action on this matter?
Mr. Chairman, just for clarification, I am a neighbor of this subdivision. However, I do not believe I have a conflict of interest.
Noted. Okay. Any action to be taken by the commission?
I'm recommending adoption. Make motion.
Is there a second support for that motion?
Second.
Second by Mr. Force. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Titterington.
Yes.
Mrs. Mahan.
Yes.
Mr. McGarry.
Yes.
Mr. Force.
Yes.
Mr. Cappers.
Yes.
Mr. Wolke.
Yes.
Okay, preliminary plan is approved.
Okay, next matter on the agenda is rezoning application for 600 West Main Street. Does staff have a report?
Yes, we do. Thank you. This is a request to install a planned development at 600 West Main Street. It's 6.12 acres. Located on the north side, it's bounded by, to the north by West Water Street, to the south by West Main Street, to the east by Adams Street, and to the west by Elm Street. It's currently zoned OC1, which is Office Commercial District, and they are requesting it to be a planned development. In your packet, there was a slew of information, and there have been some slight alterations to what was in your packet to what is going on today. Those were set in front of you before the meeting started. Essentially, those are minor, and I'll go over those as I go through the report to bring out what was included in that. The applicant is Danis Construction. Chuck Springmeyer from Danis is here in the audience, as well as representatives of Kettering Health Network, who own the property that is being proposed to be rezoned to a planned development. The layout of the property includes one building. It measures 113,500 square feet. It is proposed to have a helipad located in the northwest. It displays parking areas to the south and to the east of the building. Green space around the helipad on the west side contains a sidewalk around the entire perimeter of the site. And landscaping will be established on the property, and that was included in your packet as sheet L001. The use of the property will be for medical offices, essentially in the zoning code requirements. It would fall under the definition of a hospital defined by our code. Going down through more of the layout, parking contains 165 parking spaces on the site itself. The owner actually owns property to the north side of West Water Street, which is currently the lumber yard and their parking area, as well as the parking area formerly owned by ITW. There are additional 222 overflow spaces on that, so combined together, they exceed the zoning code requirements for a parking area for a building of this size.
Can I interrupt you for just a second? I'm
Yes.
taking a look at your plat here. And you just said that the buildings on the north side of Water Street are owned by the applicant also.
That's correct.
By the owner. And it's showing that Goodall Enterprises is still owning that building.
It's because they just closed on it very recently.
Okay.
Moving on to Parks and Recreation. Planned developments do require open space, park space, and recreational facilities. However, they can be waived for non-residential developments such as this. Staff would approve of not having them provide a recreational facility for several reasons. One, the bike trail is right there to the north of Water Street, which does connect to several different parks in the community to provide that recreational opportunity for those in the area. Traffic, we had actually hired a traffic consultant to do a traffic study of this area before Kettering was planning on developing it, and they also have a traffic impact study that they are doing, so we're merging the two traffic studies. So I believe we've overstudied the traffic section better than we've understudied it. So we have agreed on recommendations of that, and both parties have agreed to that. Utilities are already existing. They will be using water and sewer lines, so nothing new to that area. The building height, this is a little different than our zoning code requirement, which is why the planned development is being sought for. The building height, the OC1 zoning district requires a building height to be a maximum of 40 feet. They are requesting it to be 68 feet tall. That is because of its 3 stories, and you have an elevator shaft to house the elevator in, which makes it a little higher. We did discuss this with the fire department. They do have adequate equipment to maintain, in case of an emergency, a story of that height and magnitude. Signage, this was also a new handout. The only difference from the signage that you had previously in your packet to what was handed in front of you today is in a couple of signage, they added the word hospital after Troy. So it was a very minor change to what was provided in your packet. Those are kind of the major points. We did go through and list, which I won't read, the general standards for a planned development to be rezoned, and then of course the zoning requirements for a rezoning. And staff does make approval of this. We are recommending that a public hearing not be held because City Council will be required to hold a public hearing on this item. And we are recommending that Planning Commission make a positive recommendation to City Council based upon 3 contingencies. The first one is the property is combined into a single lot, which has been agreed to by the applicant. The requested public right-of-way is dedicated to the city, and the right-of-way we have asked for, it kind of is not a straight line, so it is about 20 feet of right-of-way in its widest form, which has been agreed to by the applicant to provide to us. and that the helipad is compliant with the FAA requirements, which is the Federal Aviation Administration.
Okay, I'm going to start out the questioning, okay? Can you read this? I can't read it. I'm this close. So where is the right-of-way dedication?
The right-of-way dedication will be, there's a line on here, and it actually shows the right-of-way line. It's right here. It kind of comes out and then bows down and cuts back up.
Okay, so it's going to be increase the right-of-way on Main Street.
On Main Street, yes.
Are there any right-of-way changes on either one of the other?
Adam Street one.
Adam Street will have some on the side as well. And then I don't believe there was any change to the right-of-way on Water Street
Okay.
or Elm Street.
You also noted that it used to be, it was changed to OC1 in 2015.
Yeah.
What was it before that?
Before that was an M2 Industrial.
Heavy industrial.
Mhm.
Okay. And my last question before I open up to other commission members, if you would, please, was,
Didn't come back to you.
yeah, just come back to me later. Go ahead. Thank you for your suggestion. Any other questions?
Well, it's chairman's prerogative.
You go right ahead.
Just to circle back to the height issue, you mentioned, or the height request. Matt, I see the fire chief is in the audience. You mentioned it was we have the equipment to go that high, but also they are sprinkling this entire building. And I think that was the other reason that you felt this height issue was not an issue.
I can address, it's not really, the fire department has the authority to limit the height of a building. That's determined by the building code. They could be from 1 story to unlimited stories, depending on the building construction. It's just our ISO rating, our insurance rating for the city of Troy, if we have more than 5 buildings of 3 stories in height, we would need a ladder truck, which we do have a ladder truck. So as far as the building height, the building code would require a standpipe system, sprinkler system, which we would have the access to remedy any emergencies. So
This gives you no concern then?
no concern.
Thank you. And on Water Street, Tim, I didn't catch this, but they are not requesting any vacation of Water Street.
That is correct.
This project.
It will remain open as is.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Any other questions from the commission, Mr. Walkie?
Well, I'm a little unclear on the recommendations because my packet here and the one I received at home ends mid-sentence. The right-of-way is the Main Street right-of-way that they are providing to the city, is that?
Yeah, there's a little bit on Adam Street, but yes, it's all the right-of-way for the development.
A third one regarding FAA, I'm not clear on what that was about.
Yeah, that's the helipad. We wanted to make sure that the helipad always remains in compliance with the FAA. So if those rules change, we wanted to make sure that they were required by the plan development to make those changes to adhere to those rules.
Mr. McGarry, did you have a question?
Just to make sure, the acreage we're talking about is strictly bounded by Water, Elm, Adams, and Main, right?
That is correct.
Okay, so we're not talking about the area where the parking lots are or any of that?
That's correct.
Okay.
My further question was that you indicated that Danis was the applicant.
Yes.
Is there something in your file indicating that the owner of the property has also approved the rezone?
Yes, we do have that as part of the application, and the vice president of Kettering Health Network is here in case you guys wanted to ask him directly.
As long as you have it in the file, that's fine.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. McGarry?
This is probably more of a comment, but have you studied the FAA requirements for the helipad?
We did look them up, yes. and went
Okay,
through
the only
that.
reason I say it, the FAA just came into the Waco field and they're treating these small facilities like international airports now. So the city needs to be aware of some of the things, because many of the items we face in Waco, it falls back on the city and the jurisdictions, not on the owner of the property.
Really?
And that's the way FAA said they're going to start enforcing it. So just make sure you get all the information on it, because it may affect street lighting and
it's my
numerous
understanding.
things.
I'm sorry. And it's my understanding that the helipad is only going to be used for outgoing patients and not bringing patients in. So
Well, he's got to land though.
it does have to land. Yes. Just so you weren't thinking there's going to be constant
Walk
movement
right
of
into that
helicopters.
one.
I don't
Yeah.
think they're expecting
Well, I think
No, I mean,
a
it's-
huge turnover of.
Yeah, it's the same thing we face down there. I mean, the guy asked how many charter aircraft come in there and how many scheduled charters come in and out in corporate, and we're like, it's a grass field, come on.
I think the point is well taken, though, that in the PD legislation the council approves, we have a statement in there indicating that if there are changes by the FAA, that the owner of the property is going to have to comply with those.
Correct.
They're taking a burden off the city.
Right, and there may be some that are off property also
Yeah.
that may need to be addressed.
Okay. Any other questions of staff? Okay, does the commission want to take any action? First of all, we determine whether or not we want a public hearing.
Move that we not have a public hearing.
Second that?
There's a motion, a second, any further discussion on this? If not, we'll call the roll and keep in mind that an affirmative vote is not to have a public hearing.
Mrs. Mahan?
Yes.
Mr. McGarry?
Yes.
Mr. Force?
Yes.
Mr. Cappers?
Yes.
Mr. Wolke?
Yes.
Mr. Titterington?
Yes.
Motion is adopted. The commission will not hold a public hearing.
And next, we have a recommendation of city council, one way or the other, or we don't have to make a recommendation. What is your desire?
I got a question.
Go ahead, Mr. Forrest.
On the recommendation, you say requested public right-of-way is dedicated to the city and it quits.
Yeah, I think that's what
That's
Mr.
the
Wolke,
FAA.
I think the,
It's just the FAA thing was supposed to be on.
yeah.
Okay.
That's all it is.
So the issue before us is whether or not we want to commit the property to be rezoned and then sent to council for consideration. Our recommendation.
I'll make a motion that we recommend that the approval to city council.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. McGarry, second. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. McGarry?
Yes.
Mr. Force?
Yes.
Mr. Cappers?
Yes.
Mr. Wolke?
Yes.
Mr. Titterington?
Yes.
Mrs. Mahan?
Yes.
The motion is adopted. This will be recommended to council.
Does staff have anything else come before the commission?
Just one point, kind of an FYI for the planning commission members. The Methodist Church behind us, they're having some piping issues, so you may see some pipe above ground temporarily while they repair some. It will be installed underground. In case you saw that work going on, no action would be needed from us because it would be underground, but in case you saw activity and wonder what was going on, that will be there.
Gas, sewer, or water?
Water.
Water.
Storm water, yeah.
Storm. Thank you. Something's going on Ridge Avenue with what looked to be sewer pipe.
Back drain.
It's what?
Gas.
And gas line.
Catch basins,
It's
No,
big pipe.
it's Finfrock.
fin frogging catch basins.
It's sewer pipe.
I spoke with Neil this morning, and he told me there's an emergency stormwater issue over there.
Is that where it is?
Yeah.
It affects just that block? Thank you. Anything else to come before the commission?
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Force?
Are we going to meet Wednesday before Thanksgiving?
Yes, that's a question.
We have anything on the agenda for Wednesday?
We do not know at this point. Is that true?
We don't have anything at this point that has come in.
Right now, we have a scheduled meeting, but we'll keep everybody advised as to whether or not we won't have a meeting if there's nothing for our agenda.
That's the day we cook for 50 people.
Sounds like a
Okay.
person.
Well, would we have a quorum? Can we tell if we would have a quorum from those who are present?
I don't know that. I haven't scheduled it.
I'll be there.
It's
Okay.
too early to tell.
All right, we would probably have a quorum if we need to have a meeting.
But we won't have a meeting if we don't need to.
That is very true.
All right, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? We stand adjourned.